Raised in the mountains of Pennsylvania, Frank Dallas grew up with a rifle in one hand and a fishing pole in the other. It was an adventurous boyhood that would set the stage for 3 decades of distinguished military service. Now in his 80s, Colonel Frank Dallas has lost most of his eyesight and is battling Parkinson's disease. But it was a young Frank Dallas who joined the service at the age of 17.
When World War II started, I enlisted in service in December 1942. But I couldn't go in service until March 43 because of examinations in high school.
Halfway through basic training, Frank Dallas volunteered for airborne duty, the only one in his company to do so.
One of the reasons I joined airborne is not because just jump parachutes. I get more money jumped than I was getting as a private in pay. And that about doubled my pay.
At Fort Benning, he joined the 3rd Battalion, 517th Parachute Regimental Combat Team. The following spring, they were shipped to Europe. After heavy fighting in Italy, his regiment parachuted into southern France. From there, he saw fighting during the Battle of the Bulge in Belgium, then in Luxembourg, and then more heavy fighting in Germany.
The first day we were in combat in Italy, we had a heavy casualty in the minefield. The last day we had in combat in World War II, we were in a minefield in Berkshire, Schmidt, Germany. And that's where my company commander got killed. I went in the minefield to get him out.
For his fighting in Europe, Frank Dallas received the Silver Star, a Purple Heart, the French Croix de Guerre, and the Combat Infantry Badge. After the war in Europe ended, Frank Dallas volunteered for the invasion of Japan. Now a member of the 101st Airborne Division, he began training for the assault.
At that time I went to glider training because the event we couldn't go into invasion by parachute. We were going to go in by gliders. And after we qualified, then the war ended after they dropped a nuclear bomb. And I came home with the 45th Division.
In 1949, Staff Sergeant Frank Dallas, now married and raising a family, went to Officers Candidate School and was commissioned as a 2nd lieutenant. At the outset of the Korean conflict, Frank Dallas joined the 8th Regiment in the 1st Cavalry Division.
And that was the worst winter I ever spent in my life. I thought I was cold in a bulge. But during the Korean War, it really was cold. The temperature got way down. We had no clothing. And well, food was no problem. We'd live off the land if we had to. For what the GIs did over there, and as much as they suffered, they should have got more recognition than they did.
Even with the cold and the fighting, Frank Dallas found time to do a little pheasant hunting when the weather improved. In 1953, the Special Forces were just being formed. Frank Dallas, once again, raised his hand when it came time to volunteer for this new division. He had gained a reputation as a strong and fair leader. Dick Taylor, also one of the original Special Forces members, served with Frank Dallas in Vietnam.
He was what I call a soldier's soldier. He was a former enlisted man, an NCO. He treated his NCOs with the deepest respect, and he cooperated with them. That's all I can tell you.
While in Vietnam, Frank Dallas and Dick Taylor helped spearhead a new program for the Army.
We ran the airboat program. I don't know if you ever seen those swamp buggies in Florida. We were the first ones that ever used them in combat. And I had 27 airboats. I designed the tactics, the maneuvers, and we were quite successful wiping out that Vietcong when the high water came up.
There were also more harrowing moments.
And I got shot down 3 times in Vietnam in 6 months. Once in a helicopter and twice in L-19.
For his fighting in Vietnam, he was awarded the Legion of Merit. In July 1970, 27 years after enlisting in the Army as a 17-year-old, Colonel Frank Dallas retired from the military. The medals he won in his long career give silent testimony to his service to his country. Military retirement also gave Frank Dallas time to pursue his wood carving. It was a hobby he loved and only stopped recently when his eyesight became too poor. Now he spends time attending reunions and visiting his children, 2 of whom made colonel in the Army. And he's quick to give credit to his wife, Jo, for raising their children.
She's the one that raised the kids, and she got their schooling and got things done. I provided for her, but without her, I couldn't exist.
Looking back on his career, Frank Dallas has no regrets.
No, I think every bit of what I've done I enjoyed, and I was always proud of.
Hey, he was a dedicated soldier, that's all I can tell you. His morals were above reproach. He did his job and did it well.